What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with the overall market, what's happening to Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and some very important things involving some of these Fed speakers. But before I break into devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends in just about a week. Anyways, now let's talk about something very important that's going on with the markets. Looking at Tesla, we're still testing this resistance right over here at this yellow trend line. I'll be talking more about this in just a few minutes. And then for SPY, we ended up getting a little sell-off right over here. We actually rejected off 493.5. So as we get very close to 494, a little bit below that, we are getting some rejections, but some buyers are trying to defend 492. So we have this range on SPY to be watching for, and we'll have to see how well it holds. But the reason why the market came down like this is because of some Fed speakers. I'm going to break down some things they said in just a minute. Let me just go over this. So the economic optimism index was as expected. The total household debt was also very close to expectations. So this didn't really affect the market much. The market held up upon all this data coming out. But then starting at noon Eastern Standard Time, we had Mester, Kashkari, and Collins giving their speeches. Kashkari's speech may have been the one that caused the market to sell off a little bit because he said some very important things. This is actually making some headlines. Kashkari has been saying that we are not quite there on year-over-year inflation, but we're getting there. And that's actually a very important thing that he mentioned. Let me actually read his quotes for you guys. I actually have a lot of them from his speech today. He said that the recent inflationary data has been surprisingly positive. We are not quite there on year-over-year inflationary data, but the 3-month and 6-month data appear to be there. He also mentioned that I don't think I want to say we're done yet, but my fingers are crossed. That's what he said. He also mentioned that most of the disinflationary gains have come from the supply side. The yield curve is not a reliable indicator of recessions, and because disinflation is just mostly not being caused by the Fed. And on top of this, we had Collins who started speaking. I'm just going to read a couple of things from Collins before I move on. Collins and Mester are both saying some important things. Collins does not want to comment on policy right now. They mentioned that they're just trying to be very, very optimistic nonetheless. I'm not saying much from Collins actually, but Mester just said, and they just said this a few minutes ago, I still lean towards 3 rate cuts for 2024. The Fed should not rule out assets sales for the balance sheets. And that's pretty much it for now. So the main person was Kashkari. This guy basically said some things which are very important for the economy and the Fed's policies, which led to a little bit more fear. We're not sure when the Fed is going to start cutting rates. We know they will. They should cut rates around 3 times for this year, according to Mester. But we don't know exactly when. And when things are said about that, especially by Fed speakers, it tends to be a little negative, could cause the market to sell off a bit. So we're going to be watching some key levels. Now, just 2 more things before I talk about the charts. Number one, we have earnings coming out. Do not forget about Snap announcing earnings after the market closes. Then we have Ford and Chipotle all coming out today after market close. And then for Wednesday, which is going to be tomorrow, we have Alibaba in the morning, not to mention PayPal and Disney after market close. Get ready for Disney and PayPal. Those are going to be big ones. So get ready, guys. If you want to play these earnings, you could if you want. If I were to play them, I would not risk way too much money. I'd be very careful when doing it. I'd manage risks. That's what I would do, but you could do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But anyways, last thing I want to mention is that the news is saying that it's very controversial that Tesla is starting to advertise on Elon Musk's X. I honestly don't think that at all. I think it's fine. I find that this kind of funny, if anything. But Elon Musk has the right to advertise on X if he wants to. Tesla could do it as well. I don't see what's wrong with them doing that. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are bringing up things that Musk has said in the past about advertising. Sure, but it's completely fine. Things could change, especially during these current economic times. And Tesla, in my opinion, is a company that doesn't need to advertise. At least in the past, it didn't really need to. And that's why Musk was always saying that, right? He was always saying things like, Tesla doesn't have to focus on advertising; they need to just focus on their products because word spreads like crazy. When the Cybertruck came out, Tesla was not advertising it that hard. This just got spread by social media and such. Now, in this case, Tesla is shifting a little bit. They're starting to advertise, and even Elon Musk could be a proponent for it. But why is that? Because things are changing. The economy is in a different state right now. Tesla needs to do what it can to get some sales up there, even if it requires some advertising on X. Completely fine. I don't see why we have to attack Tesla for every little thing. Yes, Elon Musk could have said things in the past about advertising, but economic times change and his opinions could always change, just like how my views and opinions could change over time as well. So please don't make a big deal out of little petty things. It's okay. Don't worry, guys. It's fine. Let Tesla advertise if they want to. These headlines are just kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Anyways, now let's just focus on what's happening to Tesla and the charts. Tesla is showing some strength right now. So when we zoom out of Tesla, okay, we keep getting rejections off this yellow trend line. We rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, right? Rejection, rejection, rejection. But now Tesla's trying to fight. You guys can see right here, it's pushing, it's trying to fight up to get above 184. If we break out, we could retest the high at in the 186 area. If we break that, then 188 is going to be our next resistance. And above that, the 190s will be coming if we get above the 188s. So we could go to 190.5, even 192, 194, high levels like that. If Tesla rejects, okay, we have some nice support at 182.5. If we lose that, there's 180, which has not the strongest support these days. We also have this imbalance down here at 178. If we lose that, 175 is coming next. So how is this looking? We're trying to fight this resistance. It's been very tough to break it, so I can't guarantee we're going to break it, but it's showing some life, it's showing some strength, it's trying to fight. We're going to be watching to see how it reacts, especially when we close. So we'll see, does Tesla get a big rejection, close down here, or do we try to close very close to this or above this? I'll be waiting for that. Right now, Tesla's showing some strength trying to break out, so watch and see how well it holds. For SPY, we have a different story, however, because when you look at SPY, we're just kind of trading sideways right here in this range. When we hit the 492 zone, we're seeing SPY bouncing. So we bounced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times off 492 flat in one single day since yesterday. Since yesterday during the aftermarket, actually, technically. And then for resistance, between 493.5 and 494 we're getting rejected. So SPY has been just range bound for the entire day, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth price action. Now the thing is, here's the thing about this, okay, even though we are range bound, the trend is still favoring the bulls a bit more. And the reason for that is because SPY is still holding above a critical level, which is 491. If we close below 491 or lose that, there's going to be a risk of more downside. Yesterday, SPY did come below 491, but we got bought right back up, and we're still holding up nicely. Now, I just want to note that as long as we hold above 491, this thing could start pushing to higher levels. Okay, and there's a good chance it's going to eventually try to break its all-time high again. So it's still looking bullish. It's still holding up nicely. I will turn more bearish if we close below 491, because then we can start sinking back down to 488. For now, however, SPY is holding up nicely. It's range bound intraday for now, but the overall trend still favors the bulls slightly more. So do not forget that. What is SPY going to do today? It might just remain range bound for now. It is trying to push a little bit off this bounce, but despite the fact that it's in this range for now, the overall structure is still bullish. For the QQQ, not looking as great as SPY. We actually got this bad breakdown. We were forming a nice bullish wedge. I was hoping this would hold, but it ended up failing. And now we're coming back down here, especially thanks to Nvidia. So watch 425 as this critical support. We've been bouncing off of this many times today, and we have resistance at 427.25-ish, not to mention this yellow trend line over here. It's going to be our resistance. So we're going to be watching to see, can we try to push back up? Can the QQQ make a comeback? And to be bullish, you want to break above this yellow trend line. It's going to be very tough. Previous support, which is going to become resistance, watch that very carefully. The QQQ has been stuck between 427 and 425 for the entire day almost, so it might just remain in this range, but it is trying to push a little bit with SPY, so let's hope it tries to push a little bit more from here. But make sure you watch the range and see if you can try to break out. It is pushing a little bit. For Nvidia, it's also pushing. We came down pretty hard. I told you all if we lost 675, watch 666. We came just 2 points below that before we ended up bouncing. So it did come very close to our target, a little bit below it before we bounced. And now we're watching resistance at 680. If we break that, 687 could be our next target. For now, Nvidia is holding up nicely. It's showing some life. It could push a little bit more, but just to be safe, we have to wait and see how it does. Nvidia does have potential to push up a little higher. It's kind of shuffling very close to 680. May continue to do so, but it is showing some life, which is looking pretty good. And then last but not least, for Apple stock, Apple has been holding up decently. It's still above 188. We have resistance at 189. If we break that, 190.5 is coming, followed by 192. But here's the thing about Apple. We're holding up in this upper range above 188 quite nicely, and we have an inverse head and shoulders like structure. We have this left shoulder here, the right shoulder, the head. So the structure looks bullish. The pattern looks bullish on Apple, and there is potential for Apple to slowly climb towards 190. Okay, but for now, we're just kind of range bound, kind of shuffling in the 188s. So it may continue to do so for today, but later on, there is potential for this to push higher looking at the current structure. All right. So with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. As far as Tesla goes, it is fighting hard, it's trying to show some signs of life, trying to get a nice breakout. And we're going to see how well Tesla could do right here. You guys can see this trend line right over here. We're still fighting this, so we'll see how Tesla does. Make sure you watch it very carefully, and let's just see how Tesla closes it for now. We'll just see if we can try to get above this or not. And then from this point on, I'll just be very patient. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day. Tesla in the market to the moon because the long term is very bright, and peace out.